right, we'd like to call this meeting of the West Dallas West Milwaukee School District to order, please. If we could please rise for the pledge. Mr. Bailey, would you please lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Could we do the roll, please, Suzette?
Yes. Mr. Schultz.
Present.
Mr. Ustra.
Here.
Mr. Bailey.
Here.
Mr. Keller.
Here.
Ms. Klug. Here. Mrs. Jesta.
Here.
Mr. Sickich.
Present.
Mr. Lee.
Here.
President Emmons.
Here. Proper notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the open meeting laws of the state of Wisconsin. Do we have any additions or modifications to tonight's agenda?
I have no changes.
Board members? No? Okay. Then we will go on to public comments. We have public, are you ready? All right, so just go ahead and read you our little disclaimer for public comments when you go on up to the podium. So just please provide your name and address for the record. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. And then just as a reminder that we don't debate, respond, engage during the comments, but that you'll get a response from the superintendent's office from the board before the next regular scheduled board meeting. All right, thank you.
My name is Dolores Greenewald. My address is 13185 West Boulder Drive, New Berlin, 53151. So I come here, we're traveling, this is bad. But it all started with a question. Jeff and I had a very, very great conversation, and at this point, he might be regretting meeting me, but so it started with a question. I was asked by administration what the writing levels of the West Dallas West Milwaukee School District were, and that conversation led to an open discussion with administration and teachers about the ELA curriculum. I am an English professor at Carroll, and so I work kind of on the other side, which is where this conversation stemmed from. However, when things became a little bit more entangled, administration began to slowly kind of shut it out, and this is why I'm here. So being an instructor on the other side, I can say with most certainty that many of the students who are graduating are not prepared for university level work. We're speaking English, in the English department. And a lot of their writing is weak. The research that they do is almost null, and they don't know any basic grammar skills. When I teach, I have to cover starting at a 5th grade grammar level. After going to a meeting with the instructors, so I had gone to a 6th to 12th grade English department meeting, and I was told that many of the rules in place that are hindering the teachers were put down there from administration. Teachers, students, and parents all agree that HAIL is known as no fail HAIL. The reason for this is because assignments can be handed in months later, and students all know that they'll never get a bad grade. If anything, they'll get maybe 5 to 7 points off and still be able to complete their paper with an A. Not handing work in is more of a behavioral issue that is solved with detentions rather than zeros, rather than actual repercussions. And a lot of the teachers feel trapped because they have no way of getting their students to do the work. There's barely any writing happening, and many teachers feel it's because their students actually cannot get to the writing level that they have to get. Many teachers believe it's because of a lack of consequences and accountability. However, when Deidre approached me and asked me to come in and talk to her, she described to me all the issues that she had inherited 3 years ago. She said that these teachers must be simply stuck in their way and may not know what administration policies are. After she took down some notes and brushed me off with an email, I still have concerns. So, hello. The district wanted to get information from me, but when it was information that wasn't necessarily the most positive, they didn't necessarily want to respond. One of the issues that I have is how a person can be in their position for 3 years and the staff under them still does not know what policies are in effect. Why aren't there any uniform assignments between classrooms? Why is there no scaffolding happening from grade to grade? Why does every teacher, student, and parent that I have spoken to agree that changes need to be made and best practices need to be revamped? However, administration doesn't seem to listen or doesn't seem to hear them. Why are there teachers in our schools that are teaching because they have a general license, yet not a specialty in a core subject like English? I know for a fact that there's a couple teachers like that. What kind of disservice are we doing to our students? Why is our administration continuously doing the minimum with the intent of doing better, but year after year it isn't applied? I've had several conversations where administration seems confident that staff talks to them, yet after a conversation with these teachers, it was clear that administration does not know what's going on in the classroom. In fact, it was the teachers who asked me to come and talk to the school board. The teachers have asked me for help She had said that she had focused her time on math, which is fine, but because of that, English has taken a toll. It's clear to me that an entire department, the content and communication, or the lack thereof, from administration has hurt them, and it's hurting our students. It's about accountability, right? We want our students to be accountable. We want our students to know that there are consequences. If we want our kids to fail, we want them to fail when they're younger so they can create these coping mechanisms so when they get to my classroom, it's not $30,000 at stake. And unfortunately, that's not happening. A lot of the conversations that I have had with other parents have also led me to believe and understand that there are many parents who are leaving the district after the elementary level because they do not have faith in both the middle and the high schools. And that's what I had.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay. We will then go on to the superintendent's report.
Great, thank you. And so we'll start with the report from West Allis Nathan Hale High School student representatives. If you'd introduce yourselves again and share your report with us, that'd be great.
Hi, I'm Nicholas Powers. I'm a junior at Nathan Hale.
Hi, I'm Anna Coleman. I'm a senior at Nathan Hale. This month, we'd like to highlight the following from Nathan Hale High School: Youth Frontiers Leadership Conference, Student Achievements, Mock Interview Day, ACT Aspire Testing, and Prom and Safe and Sober Family Night. On March 14th, Assistant Principal Mrs. Bergman had the opportunity to spend a great day of leadership development with some outstanding Nathan Hale juniors at the Youth Frontiers Leadership Conference hosted at Brookfield East. These students were recommended as representatives of our student body, further developing their leadership skills and encouraging them to take responsibility for further creating a culture of respect in our school. Although time was limited, they were able to begin the reflection process regarding areas of our school that they think could be improved and begin brainstorming potential solutions. They have now made a commitment to work with her to develop and lead a culture-building project as they enter their senior year. Music solo and ensemble. Congratulations goes out to all of our music students that participated in the district solo and ensemble at West Allis Central on Saturday, March 23rd, as they competed for an opportunity to perform at state in May. It was an outstanding day for our choir, orchestra, and band students under the direction of Mr. Beeksma, Ms. Cold, and Ms. Witkowski. The results were as follows. For choir, 55 students were involved in 61 individual and small group events and 3 large group events. 20 individual and small group vocal events, along with the women's choir, qualified for state. In orchestra, 75 orchestra students performed in 4 large orchestra ensembles, with all 4 orchestra groups qualifying for state. In addition, 73 orchestra students performed solos, with 24 individuals and 3 duets qualifying for state. For band, all band students participated in at least one of the 12 large group ensembles, with 4, including 53 students, going to state. The groups that are state qualifiers are symphonic band percussion, symphonic band flutes, symphonic band saxophones, and wind symphony and concert band saxophones. There were also 26 soloists and 2 duets that performed, with 8 qualifying for state. We wish all these talented musicians the best of luck at state on May 4th.
Hosts of future health professionals, seniors Paige Scar and Riley Hoff advanced to the HOSA Future Health Occupations Organization state competition next Sunday in Wisconsin Dells to compete in the area of medical terminology, while freshman Madison Mose advanced to state competing in medical spelling. Boys and girls track. Indoor state track just happened this past weekend. It's not WIAA official, but it has approximately 100 teams who participate in this optional event. The Hale boys team took 24th place, with Tariq Rogers taking 2nd place in the state triple jump. On the girls' side, the 4x200 meter relay team of Callie Walk, Serena Pekowski, Alana Patterson, and Julia Klein broke the indoor school record with a time of 1 minute 53.4 seconds. Mock interview day. Last month we shared that on Friday, March 22nd, Nathan Hale Student Services would be hosting a mock interview day as part of our academic and career planning program. Today we report that the event was a huge success. 95 total students participated in a mock interview. 15 professionals from the community conducted the mock interviews. We had professionals from a variety of areas, including military, business, education, health science, marketing, human services, human resources, and law enforcement. We received multiple compliments on how prepared and mature our students were. The interviewers gave students some fantastic positive feedback. Some of the constructive feedback given revolved around professional attire, coming prepared with a resume, and portraying confidence during the interview. Many interviewers mentioned how valuable of an experience this was for our students to have while in high school. A few students were offered internship opportunities based on their interviews, while some of our senior students were offered opportunities for actual employment after graduation. Not only did the interviews help students with their interview skills, many of the professionals talked to the students about their career paths, education, and gave valuable advice. It was a great experience for everyone involved. A big thank you goes out to the entire Student Services staff for organizing and coordinating the morning, and our business partners for making it all possible.
ACT Aspire testing. Each year in Wisconsin, public school students participate in assessments associated with the Wisconsin Student Assessment System, or WSAS. The WSAS is a comprehensive statewide program designed to provide information about what students know and are able to do in the core academic areas of English, reading, math, science, and writing. At the high school level as juniors, the test is the ACT, which was taken last month, while at the 9th and 10th grade level, it is the ACT Aspire online test given each spring. 9th graders will be testing this week, and 10th graders will be testing next week over a 2-day period. The results on this assessment will not only measure individual student academic performance, but also be used by the Department of Public Instruction and School District for our high school accountability measure of academic achievement and growth from 9th to 10th to 11th grade as part of the school report card. We wish our students the best of luck on these very important assessments. And finally, the prom and the 11th annual Safe and Sober Spring Family Night. Prom is next month, Saturday, May 18th, at the Harley-Davidson complex downtown with a theme of Around the World. In an effort to promote a safe and drug and alcohol-free celebration, and in support of April being proclaimed as Alcohol Awareness Month by Mayor Devine, we will once again be having our annual Safe and Sober Family Night on Monday, April 29th at 6:30 p.m. in the Nathan Hale Auditorium. Nathan Hale and Central High School will once again be working in collaboration with the West Allis Police Department and the Community Coalition to present on the dangers and consequences of substance abuse and keep safe and drug and alcohol free during the upcoming year-end celebrations, as well as driving safely and not texting or using phones while driving as part of the National Distracted Driving Awareness Month. As part of the event, AAA, the American Automobile Association, will be doing an interactive presentation around the topic of distracted driving, with students possibly having access to a simulator during the week at lunch and on that evening. We want to encourage parents to attend this event with their son or daughter to help educate and ensure the safety of our students during these year-end events. Students who attend this resource night with their parent or guardian will receive a discount voucher to be used toward the purchases of a prom dance ticket. We hope to see our students and parents in attendance. Thank you, and we will see you next month for my final presentation as a Nathan Hale student.
Okay. Questions, comments for the students? Dan?
I just have a comment. I want to thank you, your staff and yourselves for inviting me again to do mock interviews. It seems every year that I do them for the schools, I see more and more students that are well prepared, and I'm happy to see that.
Thank you.
All right, well, thank you. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Have fun at prom. All those
Thank
good
you.
things, yeah.
Good. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we will go on to 7.2, the department showcase. So if the board recalls, we're mixing other showcases in with school showcases. And so Adita and I thought it was an interesting opportunity to have the board have a little bit of hands-on experience of what we're doing in the half hour of tech time or STEM time that's been added to the elementary schedules, right? So it's another special where all kids then get access to some of the really kind of engaging tech experiences. And so I'm going to turn it over to Adam and the team to take us through the showcase.
Okay, good evening. So, brought a couple of team members here who will introduce themselves in a second, but just wanted to highlight elementary tech time, so, and how this role has changed. So, formerly known as, we've talked about this when we did coaching a couple of months ago, formerly known as tech integrators, from 2012 to about the fall of 2017. The main responsibility of all of the tech integrators at that time were basically to integrate technology into the classroom. We were just coming into a one-to-one adoption. They were really overseeing library functions, common school spending, And then the distribution and collection of iPads and iPad troubleshooting, managing apps for classroom. We didn't have a system that we could just click a button and every iPad in the entire district would be updated. I remember seeing days of, there was like 20 cables braided together that would all have to be plugged into one dock, and you'd have to update iPads 20 at a time. So shift to 2017, 2018, and their main responsibility is still working with teachers, integrating classroom technology into instruction. We introduced tech time, or STEM time, that Dr. Lexman was talking about, and that's 30 minutes per week to push in STEM and innovation with students and to free up our counselors for other services. And then still overseeing library functions and common school funds, distribution and collection of iPads. But then, as we were here about 2 years ago, and we talked about the purposeful purchase of like iPad covers that help protect our devices, and you guys have gotten board updates where we're like significantly under like 0.1% breakage at any time. There's a lot less time managing devices and repairs. So this year, we've transitioned to innovation coaches, they're increasing self-directed learning, increasing problem solving and collaboration, and pushing into classroom instruction. They've also been with all of the deeper learning coaches and our reading specialists and trained in the student-centered coaching model. And they're really having that tech time for 30 minutes a week still at those grade levels, and overseeing library functions still and common school funds, and also obviously distribution and collection of iPads. So we're gonna kind of give you guys an opportunity to get hands-on. So we have Brendan, are you standing right here? Okay. Brendan Kelly from Wilson and Jess Kaczynski from Franklin, and they're gonna kind of take you through what a model lesson of tech time looks like.
Thank you, Adam. Just gonna plug in here. Hopefully.
Try that.
So close. Thank you guys for your technology patience. We say that all the time at Wilson. We call it TP, technology patience, not toilet paper, but we go with that. So we're gonna do a quick presentation for you. I'm gonna pull up a chair here. So Jess and I are just gonna walk you through some of the lessons that we have, just kind of showcase some of the fun and innovative things that we're doing. So here's our agenda. I'm just gonna talk about the specials time that we kind of took over, that 30 minutes a week, some of the fun things that we're trying to do district-wide. Also some classroom innovation, how we're pushing into classrooms, and some of the projects we're doing there. And then also a lot of the innovation coaches around the district do oversee a lot of different clubs during recess, after school, so we're just gonna talk about just a few of those. So the first one is just that specials time. At the end of last year, we were able to purchase a kit right here. These are called Sphero robots, and I can grab one and have you guys pass this around. So these are robots that can be programmed and controlled with the iPad students have. So every school in our district got a power pack, which is 12 Sphero robots. And we've been working with the innovation coaches to try to roll those out in each of the buildings so that kids have some hands-on experience programming robots and doing some other fun things with that. So we purchased those with common school funds, so they are a library purchase, and it's part of that library plan where we're kind of integrating some of those tech skills. We created for our district, a few of the innovation coaches got together and said, we need to make some challenges where we can kind of be global communicators and collaborators. So we created what is called Sphero Challenges, and we made a website for it. We made bi-weekly challenges. And the focus is on collaboration, communication, problem solving, programming. And then we tried to share all of these out through a Sphero Challenges hashtag. And here's some pictures of some of the kids doing some of these challenges. So some over at Franklin, here's some at Wilson, kids creating some different, we'll talk about the challenges in just a second. So we try to time into either important events that are going on, or just some fun challenges, like we did a snowplow challenge right after we got the huge snowfall here and we had some canceled school. So we did a snowplow challenge where you had to clear cotton balls off of a mat and you had to build something out of just some random stuff, tape, whatever we had around, cups, from old science kits. And you had to build something to push those off the mat to see how much you could clear, and you had to program your robot using block-based code. So we put this out onto Twitter, we created that website, and one of our videos, just kind of talking about the global reach that we had with this, got over 2,000 views, so about 2,100 views the other day, which in the field of education is kind of going viral, so kind of a big deal, but which is really cool for us, because we didn't know what kind of impact we would have. And once we got going with these challenges, and we're doing them here in our school, we're kind of leading that charge. We collaborated with only one other person out of state. She's in Ohio. But we were getting people submitting videos to Twitter from North Carolina, Colorado, Ohio, New York, all over the United States. And our kids get to watch these, and they get to share their own videos as well. We got people that sent us emails from the United Kingdom, from Australia, from South Africa. So, I mean, the global communication that this one little project started was awesome for kids. One of the videos, too, kind of went crazy. Ms. Michael's class had over 1,500 views for just her class video, showcasing how her students were doing one of these projects. So this one was the Sphero snowplow. And I'll just play just a bit of the video. It's about a minute long, but I don't know if we got sound going, but. So they have to build something that goes on top of their Sphero. Sphero powers it. And then they have to program it using their iPad to try to clear all the snow, all the either marshmallows or cotton balls off the mat, which is pretty fun. And kids are quickly realizing friction really does matter, how much weight you put in front matters. They're making these observations. The whole time we're going through the engineer design process where they're like, what is the problem? What's not working? Well, I didn't go far enough with my code. Okay, change that. What else is the problem? My snowplow is spinning around. Well, how are you going to solve that? It's not like we're giving them all the answers. So they have to figure out how they're going to solve it and what they're going to do and go through that process again. So what's the problem? How am I going to solve it? I'm going to build a prototype. I'm going to test it and see if it works. Another video that did pretty well was this last one. We did a Sphero lift challenge where you had to pick up some fares. So you're a lift driver. You have to build your lift vehicle. And you have to go pick up some fares that are along the mat. You can't leave the mat because that's like going onto the sidewalk. We had a good conversation about autonomous vehicles and how hard it is. If you can't even pick up one person on a small mat, how hard do you think it is for these vehicles that travel on the road? So kids were testing it out. This one was a challenge component, so we had people across the United States sharing their high scores. So you get like 5 points for every person delivered to the zone. You get points based on how fast you get there, because you get tips that way. So, this is one that makes it. So this is one of the first groups that made it. And it's also perseverance we're teaching here. I didn't think this one was even going to move. It's so huge, but it does move, and they got 2 people in. They got to fill out this, spreadsheet on how many points they got. So they got 16 points for that one. Here's another group that did a whole different tactic, much lighter, much faster. And because they were lighter and faster, they got more points for speed. So they got, I think, 18 points on here. So they're filling out all the sheets. They're making adjustments as they go. It's not like they get this the first time. So that's just some fun challenge we're doing with Sphero. I'm going to turn it over to Jess to talk about Tinker real quick.
All right, so Tinker is a coding program that a few of our buildings purchased this year with Common School funds. It is extremely in-depth with the coding. I've been really digging into it the past few months with 2nd through 5th grade, and they actually just released Tinker Junior last week, so we'll get into kindergarten, 1st grade. But I've been a big believer in teaching coding and kind of talking to the students and even my staff of why it's important. So it really teaches problem-solving skills, just like our Spheros. You have to try again and figure out what your bugs are and figure out how to fix them. So that's been really great, and it's an engaging way for them to keep trying. So that's been really great for our problem-solving. They've been able to communicate and make different things using different outlets of media. Not only do you code, you draw, you animate, you create. So a lot of kids are using their talents in art and really having an outlet to create. And I've just witnessed artists that I never knew were out there just by using their technology. It's really in-depth coding skills, which is really preparing them for our 21st century. And there are thousands and thousands of jobs out there that use coding, and not that many that are filled, or not many kids go into computer science. So I think just opening that up to the kids and letting them know that this is a job opportunity and you love doing it at school, and these are skills that are going to get you college and career ready. At Franklin, we have written 50,411 lines of code, and that was from 3 weeks ago. So we've done even more since then. And it's just been engaging. Kids are doing math. They are doing language arts because they are typing things in. They are having characters do conversations. And it's just been really great. I have an example. While this knock-knock joke seems very simple, this project that I will play, it is 2 characters telling a knock-knock joke, so it is including wait times as well, so they had to count how many seconds should this one wait, how many seconds should this one before they're talking to make that timing. So on the left, you see all of the code, that's just for 1 character. So that's coding, changing the text boxes, doing the wait times, and including what they were going to say, and that's for both of them. So it looks simple, but it's a really big task. And all 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders have been working through just a storytelling project. So a lot of coding, a lot of different things all wrapped into one.
We're just going to talk about some of the, push-in Adam mentioned, where we get into classrooms and just help teachers innovate, bring technology in. So one thing we're going to talk a lot about Everyone Can Create, which is kind of an Apple initiative that they pushed out, really pushing creation, and we've kind of latched onto that because we do have Apple devices. And one of the projects we started to do we did this last year, was Everyone Can Create Day. So there's a day that we're kind of posting some projects that you've done, and for this project, my school, Wilson, teamed up with a school in Uniondale, New York, and we had classrooms Skype with each other and talk about what can we create, let's get to know each other, is there something that you guys like to create? And they came up with ideas of ways that they can share and create together through different conversations. So one thing that this kindergarten class had conversations about was snack time. So they decided to create for each other healthy snack recipes and then share them and then create videos on how they would make those to share them out to the world. So this is a class where they created a marshmallow blueberry snowflake. I don't know how marshmallows are healthy, but it's fine. You get a little bit of sugar in there. And the other school in Uniondale, New York, wanted to make a banana snowman. So it was really cool to talk and share with them. Another project was Miss Dahl's class and Miss Bailey's class from New York. They created poems together. So they made their separate book for their class, and then we took that book and we combined those poems together, and then we published that out as a joint collaboration creation piece on poetry. So we're publishing that in the Apple Bookstore, so it'll be available in 52 countries, which for anyone to download, which Jess, I know, is going to talk a little bit more about that later. Another class did poems, and then also stories of when I grew up. So they gave them a choice. Do you want to do poems, or do you want to talk about stories from when you grew up? So 2 books there. And then we had another kindergarten class that wanted to talk about their school, and they wanted to know more about our school. Like, what is it like? What's your favorite place at your school? So they actually created video walkthroughs of their school and the most important places in their school, why it's important to them. Kids introduced the different areas, the different teachers, and why they're important to their school. And it was super awesome to get to know this other school through a kindergarten's point of view. So there's another one. So that was the introduction to Wilson Elementary. There we go.
I've also been doing a lot with Everyone Can Create, and this was done with pages. So everyone can create a book. So I used a co-taught lesson. This was actually a whole unit, project-based learning unit, where we learned about animals and their defense mechanisms. And so students researched 2 different animals and then combined the 2. So they made up their own animal. This was a Who Would Survive book, so we kind of took off of Who Would Win. And they paired up these made-up animals, and they had to convince their reader why theirs would win. So it was all about height and weight, speed, what is their way of fighting back, and then who would win. So this was made with pages. The 4th grade teacher and I did this whole unit together. They worked collaboratively, so I created a template, shared it with them, and then they connected, so they were able to do it on their own device, but together, which was really powerful for them to do. And all of the artwork that they created, this was done with just their finger. So they created all of this artwork. Then they had to kind of put their animals together in boxing rings and all sorts of stuff. So it was extremely creative. And again, this little boy is the greatest artist I've ever seen, and I never would have known that had I not done this project. So this is a cover page from a group. What's going So this is my little artist that I'm just so proud of. So he made all of this, and now he cannot stop drawing on his iPad. He does so much great stuff. He made some flyers for a showcase for our school, so he is just feeling really proud of himself right now, which is just really great. These are our kiddos. We had a book release party, so they're all available to download on iBooks, which is really cool. So we downloaded them all. I also printed them off, so each kid got to take one home for those that couldn't really download that on a device. So these are Who Would Survive kids at our book party, and then just some more artwork. So that's what they look like when you can download them online. One thing that we are doing, there's 5 schools signed up right now. We are doing some Spring Together with books, so some innovation coaches and myself are getting our classes involved with each other. So we have selected a bunch of picture books and a couple chapter books that we are going to have teachers read aloud to their class, and then we've written lesson plans for each of the books to share artwork or a video giving their feedback on the book or some written essays or whatever it may be. And they're going to kind of send them inter-district mail and send some artwork and different things to different classrooms. So we're going to do some Skype, we're going to read books together and just try to get people connected so everyone can share what they are doing and share their talents, and we're going to do it in all sorts of ways. So that's up in the end of April.
We're just going to talk about a few clubs that not all innovation coaches run, but a few do. And there's just a lot across the district. So there are a lot of different makerspace clubs in all different elementary schools. Some call it makerspace robotics or building or coding, digital storytelling, digital art, 3D printing. There's also the Showcase Art Through Technology Club, I think, that you run in here. So it just focuses on different areas, and we kind of wanted to highlight that as well, how, you know, those spaces are there. Here's a cool one. I just wanted to share this. A student was doing some digital art and created an animation of the Admiral's logo, and I was like, this is awesome. So I took that animation, posted it on Twitter. Admirals tweeted back, this is awesome. So, I mean, the kid was beaming for like 2 weeks, and as a kid that very shy in class, it was awesome. And I'll show that animation a little bit. I don't know if you want to talk about the Showcase Through Art Club.
I'm just having obviously I'm really into all this art and this creating right now that I've seen kids show such talents. So we're actually doing a little club right now for our next showcase at Franklin. I'm going to run a little art club out of the library, and kids are going to be able to showcase how they do this on their iPad and really show all the different things that we can do. So I have 45 kids interested, so we're going to get started tomorrow.
And I mean, this is all this artwork that you're seeing on the iPads is all possible because of those new iPads. The new iPad that we got allows you to actually draw on the iPad, and we have kids using stylus, their finger, and a lot of them are doing extremely well and being amazing creators. We just have a few animations here that some of the kids at Wilson created. There's that Admiral's logo, just an animation they created in Keynote. That's the one that the Admirals tweeted. And just some other people, that kids that were drawing, they got to draw pictures of each other. So they partnered up with someone and they drew each other. So these are student drawings. Someone drew me, which I'm like, all right, I'll throw that in there, but just because it's funny. But they're more, it's just a lot easier for them. They can use it as like tracing. They can put a picture behind it, make it a little bit see-through so they can trace over the top of it. And it's just giving them that confidence that I can be an artist and that stepping stone to get there. Another one is Lego Robotics. We have 7 district Lego Robotics teams. 3 of them competed at regionals for the first time, or the first Lego League competition. We've only had 1 in the previous 6 years that's competed at the regional tournaments, and this year we have 3, so we're actually increasing that number, which is awesome to see. Wilson, Mitchell, and FLW all competed, which is fantastic. We did have 1 team that did move to state and competed at state. They won the regional competition. They won the overall award for that, and then they competed at sectionals and made it onto state. The district competition, if you're interested in that, is on May 14th. It's at Wilson Elementary. It's going to be from 4 to 6 if you wanted to come by. It is more than just building Legos. Like this year, the Wilson Space Gamers created an app and a game for space travel. So every year they give you a big overall theme and they say space is the theme this year and you need to find a problem with long space travel. So kids researched problems with space travel and they had to figure out a solution to the problem they identified. So they identified this year boredom, and how they can combat boredom on these, 9-month journey to Mars. And they created a space game. They made an app. They also created a board game because they wanted people to be throwing stuff in space because they thought they would want to throw stuff in space. And then they didn't know how to make an app, so they're like, who do we need to contact? They reached out to the CEO of Active Learning Apps. His name's Corey Romer. He emailed back, walked them through how to code their own game, gave them access to Construct 3, which is a newer program, showed him how to do it, but told him he's not doing any of it. So this is how you do it, but you got to do it. So these kids coded their entire app themselves. It's not published because it's kind of, you need the game board and everything, and they're not marketing this right now. Not a lot of space travel going on, but it's still a great experience that they have their own app that they created, all 5th graders. And then there's also the Lego robotics competition where they build a Lego robot. They have 2.5 minutes to accomplish as many missions as they can on this Lego board. They have to present to judges they've never met before. So this is kind of their presentation area. They have to go into judging sessions, and this is the robot performance competition. The last one I'm going to share with you, and then we're all done, is we had a club that I was just super proud of, and it was all student created. We had a student that was new to Wilson who was blind last year, and he came into Wilson and he's learning how to read Braille. And for reading Braille, he's got these Braille puzzles, and I'm going to show them over here. And these puzzles break up into pieces, and there are the Braille for each letter on each piece. So he's had one of these puzzles, costs about $30 to order online. It's just 3D printed plastic. Another kid in the class took it and broke it. So this piece was not working. They couldn't get it out, and they're like, we don't want to order another one. So his teacher came to me and said, but you know how to 3D print. Can you make something like this? And I happen to have a few students in my room, and they're like, oh, we can make it. And they're like, that's pretty boring. And I'm like, well, if you guys want to make it, I'm pretty busy. That'd be awesome. So these kids needed an advisor, so I helped meet with them. And they're like, well, he might not want to fish one. What does he like? So they interviewed him. They started learning about the difference between contracted, uncontracted Braille. I had no clue any of this existed. Worked with his teacher and Miss Ramos as well, which is his teacher. And they started asking him what he liked, and he likes Mario Brothers. So they decided to start designing Mario in Lego and figure out how they can create that in Tinkercad, which is an online free program for 3D modeling. They created a first prototype, and then a second, and then a third, and then a fourth. I think that's the 7th, sitting on the table over here. But they printed it. They're like, how does this fit together? Does this work? Is it too tight? What do I need to make a change on? End of the year came last year. They weren't done. These kids were 5th graders. They moved on to 6th grade. They now come back to Wilson, and they work on Tuesdays once or twice a month just to try to finish this project. I don't tell them to come back. They just come back. And they keep trying to work on it. They can whenever they can make it and whenever I'm not, or whenever I'm free. But this is the newest addition. Everything works, but one piece, his belt. His belt is just a little snug. So he needs a size 36, and this was a 34. No. But it doesn't fit together right. So this is a problem that we've had for the last 2 months, and we've done it with all the other pieces. And this is something I could fix in 30 seconds. Like I could go on there, fix it, and it'd be done. This project would be over. But these kids want to do this project and want to fix it. So yes, it's taken over a year now to complete this project, but when they share this with him, hopefully he still likes Mario. But it's gonna be what a powerful experience, both for those kids and then also for the student. So I think we have the final version. We're just gonna print the belt and see if it fits. But that's just an amazing student-created club that we just help support, that we're kind of proud of. So, and that is it. So if you guys have any questions, let us know. Yeah.
Do any of these programs like Tinker Coding or Sphero
Yeah.
introduce any cybersecurity concepts?
We don't in those programs in particular, but part of our library program is we talk about digital citizenship. We talk about personal information. That's something we cover and also SDL covers. So they kind of get it both ways. And then when they're in 5th grade, Officer Nelson comes in as well at almost all schools, I think, and talks about that as well. So they get a lot of it. But yeah, it's always important. It's always something we're talking about. Sometimes you can share on there the apps that we choose. You can't really share publicly on there. We get to pick and choose what actually gets shared out, so none of their information is going to be out there, if that makes sense.
Bill?
Yeah.
Very exciting stuff. I
Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
thank you very much.
Yeah,
Putting that together.
absolutely.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
Makes me want to go back to elementary school. It's like, can I start over?
No, elementary school was boring.
We didn't get to do anything.
So we'll keep moving here. 7.3 is the legislative update. So the 1921 state budget, so continuing to update in that process. So the Joint Finance Committee has finalized dates and locations for 4 public hearings on the state budget. The one local to our area will be on Wednesday, April 10th, from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the Oak Creek Community Center. That's at 8580 South Howell Avenue in Oak Creek. Some of the things that educators are being asked to focus on is supporting at least a $200 per pupil general revenue increase in each year of the biennium. And this is a general suggestion for us that actually works against us with declining enrollment and the declining enrollment exemption. This actually turns into less money than categorical aid that comes directly in as the dollars. So it's an interesting dynamic, and I'll touch base. I had a meeting today with Dale Kuyinga to talk about some of that dynamic for us. The other thing is we're being asked to express support for the governor's proposed increase in funding for special education. I think there's a lot of interest in the education sector around that. And also working with legislators to help them understand the district's, Fund 10 to Fund 27 transfer, and the dynamics that creates, because it's a little bit of an unknown until you get to the end. Expressing strong support for the governor's proposed increase in funding for school-age mental health, and then support for the increase in funding for English learners, and then supporting eliminating current restrictions on hiring retired teachers, so to be able to bring retired teachers back as part of responding to teacher shortages. There's some pushback in the governor's proposed increases in K-12, and as you might imagine, it's always part of the process. There's different priorities. So in particular, some legislatures are not interested in increasing funding for special education, but I think there seems to be some misunderstanding in that one of the misunderstandings often is that, if you just identify more kids, you get more money. And it's only at this point only a 25% reimbursement rate, so it actually, that's fictitious, but that's I think a misunderstanding that's out there. Wisconsin identifies students for special education at about the national average, and like I said, there's no fiscal incentive, but that, as I talked about, that Fund 10 to Fund 27 transfer in the state is about $1 billion a year, and so if we get more support or more funding in special education, it reduces the amount we're taking out of Fund 10 for, education for all kids. And there was nothing new at the federal level at this time. In terms of recognitions, so we heard a little bit from our Hale student representatives about the District Solo and Ensemble Music Festival that was at Central High School on March 23rd. Students from area schools, not just our schools, participated in the Wisconsin School Music Association sanctioned District Solo and Ensemble Music Festival, and we hosted here at Central. There were 16 performance sites and nearly 700 events performed during the day, so you just get some sense of scale of what happens during that day. Students from Central, Nathan Hale, Frank Lloyd Wright Lane, and West Milwaukee, as well as 9 schools from 8 neighboring districts were at the festival. I'm not going to go through all of the detail here. I'll jump down to district totals. For us, we had 991 gold, 208 silver, 15 bronze, so it's 1,214 medals for our students. And qualifying for the state festival, and that's at Cardinal Stritch on May 4th, from West Allis Central, there'll be 11 events, 1 large ensemble and 10 solos. From Nathan Hale, there'll be 62 events, 9 large ensembles, 9 small ensembles, and 44 solos. And then from Frank Lloyd Wright, 2 events, which will be solos. And then also music. For the 5th year, the West Allis West Milwaukee School District's music program has been honored with the Best Communities for Music Education designation from the National Association of Music Merchants Foundation. And that's for our outstanding commitment to music education. So we're really proud of that distinction again. And then also encouraging everyone to attend the All-City Band Festival, featuring performances by all students in elementary, intermediate, and high school band. That's on April 24th at 7 p.m., and that's at the West Allis Central High School and the Steck Fieldhouse. And then lastly, given that this is all recognitions around music, we want to really give a special thanks to all of our extremely dedicated music educators, and then in particular our orchestra director and music coordinator, Mary Pat Michaels, who somehow manages to keep all of this going, which is amazing. And then just real quick, just two quick updates. So I mentioned that I met with, Deidre and I met with Dale Koyenga at his request. He reached out to us today. Or didn't reach out to us today, but reached out to us to set up a meeting. Apparently, we're both gonna start dying over here. And it was a good conversation. I mean, he really just wanted to start building a relationship back with the school district, so I think that was encouraging. Wanted to know kind of what some of our priorities are in the budget. So we talked about special education. We talked about the difference categorical aid versus increasing the revenue limit. We talked about some of the dynamics of trying to manage kind of the sale of the buildings, the proceeds, and how that intersects with the funding formula and makes it look like, you know, we have more than we need, so that then impacts the levy, or the mill rate, sorry. So I try to help him understand some of that. And then he also talked about a project he's really pushing and working to get money for, which is an AmeriCorps program called Reading Corps. And there are a number of schools in the Milwaukee area now. They're working in Racine, and their goal is to get into as many, as in particular, high-poverty schools as possible. He really was encouraging us to explore that and then get back to him if we're interested in, and I can't imagine we wouldn't be. They're like AmeriCorps volunteers, but specifically trained in this reading process, and it has very good evidence behind it in terms of really getting kids in kindergarten to third grade caught up. And that's really the kind of benchmark for reading, is if you're on track in third grade, you're in pretty good shape. If you're off track, that's a red flag for us. So it was a good conversation. And then lastly, you know, we have 3 elementary principalships that are open, so for next year, Jefferson, Longfellow, and Wilson. And we're conducting interviews this week. We started today, in fact. We have lots of hours of interviews going into, I think, next Monday we get done. But just a point for, there's been a lot of interest in the positions. The last time I looked, which is now before spring break, Jefferson had 59 applicants. So there's a number of people that have applied to all 3 positions, but some people that have only applied for one specific school. So we're hopeful in that process and looking for the next generation of good leaders for all 3 of those schools.
Wonderful.
And that concludes the superintendent's report.
All right. All right, we'll move on to the board president's report. So we'll take a look at the calendar. So today, Monday, April 8th, regular Board of Education meeting, and immediately following that, we will have a closed session. On Monday, April 15th, starting at 6 p.m., we will have a college and career readiness workshop on new course proposals and resource adoption. On Monday, April 22nd, at 6 p.m., we will have a regular Board of Education meeting and a financial stability and efficiency workshop with proposed 2019-2020 budget and preliminary tax levy number 1. And then on Monday, May 6th, again, 6 o'clock, regular Board of Education meeting, and that is the first Monday of the month, which is slightly off, but with Memorial Day in there, that has all been shifted. So, any board members have any community updates or anything they'd like to share? Heather?
This Saturday is Central-O-Rama from 8 to 2. There's about 30 booths with people selling everything under the sun. And there are some vendors who have essential oils and things like that, so come join us.
Great. Anybody else have anything? Okay. We will then move on to our consent agenda. Item 9.1, the approval of minutes from the March 25th, 2019 regular Board of Education meeting. Item 9.2, the employment summary. And item 9.3, the supplementary contracts. Does anyone need anything separated?
Move to approve.
All right, been moved, approved, and seconded. Any additional comments or questions? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right. We will take a 5-minute break then while we break down and get ready for executive session. We're at recess.